Welcome to Backyard Cigars. Normally, I start off a review with a cigar in my hand, but I got two packages here. One that I purchased and is ready to smoke. Actually, I've already smoked one, so I'll be reviewing a cigar I've smoked, which is not uncommon. And that is none other than Hangry. The Hangry cigar. This is a cigar that was done with a collaboration between Martinez Cigars and Luxury Cigar Club. Yeah. So we're going to take a look at these cigars in a minute. But I received a separate package that will need some time in the humidor before I review. But I thought I'd just share it with you guys. I feel like I'm opening up some steaks or something. Okay. Dropping stuff here. All right. Some more foil, or not foil, but paper. Carefully wrapped, I may say. I like that. I like carefully wrapped. What we got here? I was told it'd be something very, very special. Very, very special. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, it's got a water pillow. Got another tissue paper. On the truth. What do you got here? Whoa. So you know what this is? This is a limited edition Andalusian Bull by Flor Dominicana, of course. And it says here our 100th year. Jack Schwartz limited edition La Flor Dominicana Andalusian Bull. And from what I was told about the cigar is that it is completely the same blend as the original Andalusian Bull, with the main difference being that it doesn't have that odd shape. It's a Super Toro 6.5 by 54. Or is it? Yeah, it's 54 or 56. But the previous one, the original one, has a ring gauge of, I believe, 64. So this is 54 actually, because I remember it was 10 smaller. So it's been shrunken down in the ring gauge, and it's actually a 6.5 by 54. And it's a 100th anniversary commemorative limited edition cigar that was done only for Jack Schwartz. And they happen to be very friendly with Lito Gomez and his wife Inez. And so that's how this was able to happen. And I'm going to probably leave it in the humidor for a little bit and just acclimate a little bit before we get started with the next review. I'm going to put this away. So we're back, and smoke is in the air. I'm smoking the Hangry, courtesy of Luxury Cigar Club. No, I paid for them, but they came up with this cigar in conjunction with Martinez Cigars. He partnered up with them, and it was a match made in heaven. The two companies seem to really get along. Their employees, their personnel really comes together very well. It was evident at their last Las Vegas show when they joined and agreed on doing something. Jesus Martinez, the master blender at Martinez Cigars, worked diligently with Luxury Cigar Club to come up with the Hangry. So they tinkered with ideas on what to do and how to make this cigar, what size, what kind of tobacco. The one thing Luxury Cigar Club wanted was a Mexican San Andres wrapper. It's the hot wrapper right now. It's in demand. people like it. People are accustomed to the flavor. Does that remind you a little bit about how people were kind of crazy about Sumatra? Well, it's kind of happening with the Mexican San Andres. And that's fine by me. I mean, I don't dislike the cigar wrapper one bit, but I digress. This is Lonsdale 7 by 44. And like I said, the wrapper is a Mexican San Andres, 5 years old aged. And then you have a binder, which has been also aged for 5 years from Nicaragua, from the Jalapa region. And then the filler is Beso en Seco, 3 years aged from the Esteli region of Nicaragua. So those are your specs for the cigar. One of the things that I found most striking, it looks like a Lancero, but it's not quite a Lancero, but it might as well be a Lancero, because with the dimensions, with the way that it looks, it kind of has that Lancero look, but they're calling it a super Lonsdale. Fine by me. I don't care what they call it. As long as I can smoke it and enjoy it, that's all that matters. So because I've smoked many of these, I can pretty much tell you what to expect with this cigar. You're going to get cocoa. You're going to get some sweetness. You're going to get some sweet, leathery notes. And you're going to get a good dose of pepper. Good dose of pepper from that Beso Seco Nicaragua Esteli. And you're going to get that sweetness from the Mexican San Andres wrapper. That was all intended. Jesus told me himself. That was the idea. Cloak it in that Mexican San Andres, that aged Mexican San Andres, to give it that flavor profile with cocoa, dusty cocoa at that. And if you want to know what dusty cocoa is, well, if you've ever had hot chocolate, remember when we talked about this, Carol? If you've ever had hot chocolate, you know that sometimes you buy that hot chocolate and it's a powdery cocoa that you either blend with water or hot milk. And that gives you your hot chocolate, right? So that dusting of cocoa is used in baking, of course, for pastries and such. It can have some slightly bitter notes to it, and it can also lend towards some creaminess. So you do get some creaminess throughout the transitions in the cigar. It's a fleeting creaminess. You don't get it for the long run as the pepper starts to take over and really hit you with some good doses of pepper. But let me tell you, I didn't mind this pepper one bit. It was actually rather enjoyable. If I had one complaint to make, and only because I've smoked quite enough of them to make the complaint, I would say to the rollers of Martinez cigars that right here at the top of the cigar, the head of the cigar, I would pack it a little bit more and just not make it tighter, because I know how you got to control the draw and everything. It's got a great draw, no complaints with the draw, but sometimes this feels a little soft here, like it needed to be packed just a little bit more, and that annoys me a little bit, but it really doesn't disturb the smoking experience, so I'm just being nitpicky here, and I would just say that. Now this has like a weird feeling of a slight box press to it. It's a weird box press because it isn't your typical box press where it kind of flattens out. If you see it like that, it's a very odd type of press to the cigar. But look, it feels good in the hand. It performs very well. It's an elegant cigar in the sense that it's got one of those vitola shapes that harkens back to the time where royalty would kind of hold these long, slender cigars, and they were the preferred cigars of the aristocrats and such. So it has that history, that vitola history. And I know that it's a preference, and not everybody likes a vitola size like this, because it's kind of similar to a Lancero. You're either a Lancero lover or maybe not so much, and understandable. But what you're missing out in not smoking a cigar like this is that intense flavor that you get from what we always talk about, the wrapper to filler ratio. You have that much less in ring gauge. You experience the wrapper and all of the flavors that come with the cigar on another level. And that isn't to say it's always going to be make it a better cigar, right? Now, it's not a guarantee. It's just an experience heightened to another level in terms of flavor, at least in the flavors that the cigar is providing, whether it be Brazilian tobacco or whether it be Mexican tobacco, and in this case, Nicaraguan and Mexican. You get to taste it in a more intense way. And if those of you Lancero lovers know what I'm talking about. It smokes wonderfully. It does have some of those bitter hints of chocolate, that dusty cocoa that has some bitterness to it, but it does fade and it does get a little creamy, and you do get some sweetness, and then you are enveloped by a lot of pepper. So it's also not a, it doesn't take long. It burns kind of fast, but in a good way, well timed. Now, I always say, when you've got that smaller ring gauge, there is a potential for the cigar to burn a little faster, especially if you're the type of smoker that smokes on it much more aggressively than others, and you rush the cigar a little bit, and it could get a little bit bitter, much more bitter than you might want it to be. But my friend Leo loves bitter cigars, so he puffs on them time and time again, and he doesn't care about that bitterness. He just loves bitterness. To each his own. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of cocoa creaminess, which is the part of the cigar that I love. When you've gotten past that first inch and you're starting to get what has come together to form the cigar for what it is. Now, cigar cheap. Northeast, New York City, this is a New York cigar. It is $16 a cigar. If you asked me, with no prejudice, with no favoritism whatsoever, is it worth it? I would say no. I would say it's not worth $16. I would say I would stay shut right now is what I would do, because some people might pick the cigar up and say, absolutely, definitely worth $16. I would have liked to seen this cigar for about 12 or 13. But come on, I've said this a million times. I'm always going to say I want to see a cigar for less than. But there are times when we pick up a cigar and we smoke a cigar and we say, this is worth every penny. I won't flinch to pay $20 for that cigar, or $10 for that cigar, or $16 for that cigar. But I think that because it's limited, because it's a collaboration with a famous New York master blender in Jesus Martinez, they probably jacked up the price a little bit. And another thing to consider was that this was birthed, or at least it was something, an idea that was created in 2020 when things were very difficult and businesses were being hit very hard, and you want to make up for what the losses in the profit margins and so forth. So it debuted in May 2021, and I got my hands on it right away. And since then, I've smoked quite a few of them, and I've enjoyed every cigar that I've had. So I don't regret spending the money on them, but I don't think that necessarily this is worth the $16 that they want per cigar. And you can't buy it singles; you have to buy it in a 5-pack. So it can be pricey. Matter of fact, when I walked into one particular, I think it was Martinez Cigars themselves, and I walked in, and I said, yeah, I got the Hangrys. One of his employees says, you got money. I said, no, I really want to taste what you guys are putting out, and I really want to see what this is all about. And in order for me to be a part of this and experience this, I got to shell out the cash. But no tengo el dinero que tú crees. I don't have the money that you think I have. But you know what? You make some sacrifices here and there, and you enjoy a cigar, and you support your local neighborhood B&Ms as well as your local neighborhood shops. And in this case, within your state, if you can support someone making an American-made cigar, made in America, but not an American puro. Difference. So, don't I look elegant holding this cigar like something out of, I don't know, something out of a movie, maybe? Maybe? Maybe not? Okay. Oh well. In this cigar, you don't do the Arnold Schwarzenegger, hold. I like to hold this cigar like this. There's just something about holding it like this. And this Vitola size, I feel like calls for it to be held like that. But this is just my opinion. I'm not telling you how to hold your cigar. Hold your horses. Don't think I'm telling you what to do. I hold it like this. I kind of like it. I feel like that Lonsdale, you will hold it like this. Same thing with a Lancero. And it holds the ash very well. And it's a damn tasty cigar. I can't say anything bad about it. My one critique on the head of the cigar was just about it. Pepper notes on the finish, thick smoke, hearty aroma. Folks, I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your money. Maybe I overpaid. Maybe I gave in and I had to have it and I had to try it. Maybe you might do the same thing too. And I won't criticize you for it. And you shouldn't hold yourself, or you shouldn't be so hard on yourself if you do decide to do this. I think it's a good cigar. I think it's an excellent cigar. And it happens to be one of my favorites recently. I've been smoking a lot of it. The Vitola size is one of the Vitola sizes that I tend to like, but more importantly, just all of the flavors that go into it are amazing. Leather, sweetness, right after each other, mind you. Right after each other, you get that leather. I just got a little bit of hay. Then I got some sweetness, and then some pepper. So, the transitions on it are good. The blend works well. You can't expect anything less from a master blender. And when they put their minds to it, anything can happen.